everyone, Peter Hewitt La-Artistino with another colouring video. I get asked a lot of questions from people interested in colouring, and the most common question I am asked is, what brand of colour pencils do I recommend? Now, given the range of colour pencils available, from the very cheap budget store brands to the high-end expensive artist pencils, I thought it would be a great idea to give a video demonstration and review a range of different brands. This way, you can choose a brand to fit your budget and have some idea about how they will perform. Now, I don't own every brand of pencil, so I can't demonstrate all the types available. Out of the brands I do have access to, I have decided to demonstrate these 8, and I hope that that will be a good starting point for most of you in the market for choosing a pencil. First off, I have these $5 children's quality pencils that I picked up at a local department store. This one comes in a range of 36 colours, which is pretty good for $5. And the lid has a little sharpener attached. I don't know what the quality of that's going to be like, but I thought that was pretty good for $5. And a pretty fair range of colours in there. This is Australian dollars, of course, so in the US it would probably retail for $2 or $3. Stick the lid back on. Nice little set for kids. Now, next I will show you the Crayolas. Now, the Crayolas are a very popular brand in the US. They're freely available and they're quite budget priced. I picked these ones up for $5 at a department store again for 36 colours. I've seen that recently they've come out with a set of 50, I think more targeted towards the adult colouring market, looking at the box that it comes in, and they were retailing at $19, which I thought was a bit steep for, another $14 for 14 more pencils. But I thought I'd give those a go because they are very popular. Next I have an Australian brand here called Micador, and these are the ColouRush. This is the Green Earth collection. Retails for $12 at a department store. The Green Earth collection refers to the fact that it's all made with wood sourced from forests, managed forests, so that it's a bit environmentally friendly. These come in a pack of 36. These are one of my favourite budget price pencils to play with, and I'll show you why during demonstration. Next I have the Raffine pencils. They've recently become popular. These ones you order on the internet from China. I think I paid about, I think it was about $20 odd, and for a pack of 72, which is an amazing price for 72 pencils. So, and as these are becoming more popular, I thought I'd do those too. Next I have the Faber Castell Classics. Now, these are not to be confused with the Faber Castell Polychromos. The Faber Castell Classics are the student quality pencils. Again, another very popular one. This one also came with a sharpener. And let's think, I picked these ones up for $19. Okay, moving on to the big boys. I have hidden under here is my Derwents. Now, this set of Derwents is the Derwent Artist pencils. These are an old set. I'll just see if I can open it up here for you. And I actually got these as a present from my husband when he was my boyfriend. Pop them under there. These are the old style ones. So they work just the same as the new ones, but the casing is different. As you can see, if I pull one out, just get rid of those things. If I pull one out, these have got the colour of the pencil throughout the length of the pencil, where the newer style, the casing is a dark green colour and the colour is on the tip of the end of the pencil. I can't tell you how much you paid for these, but I know if you're going to buy a set of 36, and these are the 72s, if you're going to buy a set of 36, it's around about $70 in Australia, depending on which art store you go to. Next, I'll put these ones back up here. I have the Prismacolor Premiers. Another very popular brand in the United States and around the world. These are probably one of the softest pencils that you'll come across. I can pull the tin open. Don't really like the way they're packaged. You sort of get them in these 3 layers. Sit. Right. But they are great pencils. They have their problems as well, but for beautiful, deep, rich colours, I don't know if you can go past these guys. And let's think now. In Australia, they retail for 72 set, around about $120, $130 I've seen them. I bought these actually from the US and they cost me $70 there. Now finally, I'm going to show you my Faber Castell Polychromos. I don't actually have them in the box, I keep them separate because I find these are a bit of a pain to cart around, and my pencil wallet where I keep them is much easier and keeps them much safer. Now the Faber Castells, these retail 36 for $80. They come in a range of 120 pencils, so there's lots of colours to choose from. And these are my all-time favourite pencils. I can't fault them in anything. They've got rich, deep colour. The cores are very sturdy. They don't tend to break when you sharpen them, and they keep a nice point. And I'll demonstrate them for you in this video. Okay, now the book I'm going to be using to demonstrate will be a colouring book. This is Angela Porter and Lacey Mucklow's Colour Me Calm. You've seen me do a video review of this book. I chose this one and this particular picture, which I've already marked out. Look, there we go, because it's an 8-pointed mandala, and I could easily divide the sections up to demonstrate each colour in each section. Okay, and I will just put this piece of paper behind to protect the picture at the back, and I'll clear the desk here and we'll get started. Okay, here I have the mandala that we're going to use. It's an 8-pointed mandala, which is handy since we're demonstrating 8 different colours, and I've written the name of each type of pencil in the point that I'm going to be using it in. Now we'll start off with the cheap no-name brand pencils. Now I've chosen 10 standard coloured pencils from the set of 36 that you would get in any set of colouring pencils, and I've done this because I can pretty much guarantee I can pull all of these similar colours out of all of my sets. So there you go, just your basic set, and I'll start off with a yellow. Let's see how that goes. A bit hard to see. I just want to demonstrate a bit of colour merging, a bit of layering, so you can see how they perform. And they are cheap pencils. I can feel they're a bit scratchy, and there's not much pigment, but if you're on a very tight budget and this is all you could afford, this is better than nothing. Okay, let's try an orange. I usually find with most coloured pencils that the yellows, oranges and reds tend to be the best pigmented and the softest of all the colours. I find that the greens and the purples tend to be the hardest and least pigmented of at least the cheaper pencils. Now I can get some colour down, but blending is a bit of a no-go there. It's a bit tough to make a nice smooth blend. Okay, let's try a different colour. Let's go for the lights and dark greens. We'll start doing a light green base. Again, I'm not getting terribly much colour off the pencils. Though mind you, if you wanted a nice light effect, a soft muted effect to your pictures, this wouldn't be a bad way to go. Again, blending, it's not happening. I can't merge those colours very well at all. Try over here, these little spiky bits. It's very hard to coax any colour out of the pencils, and I am pressing quite hard. Your hands would probably ache after a while of using these. Okay, let's Just try and put a little bit of... You can do it, but it's a real bit of a fiddle. It's not the easiest thing in the world to merge these pencils. And as you can see, the colour is not very bright. Okay, we'll go for the pinks and purples now and see how we go with that. Now I'm pressing fairly hard, and that is about as deep as you can get the pencil colour with this pencil. I've noticed with these pencils as well is they tend to leave these little dotty areas, and I think that's basically where they're so hard and I've had to press so much that they're actually destroying the surface of the paper. You can see these little darker marks here. I haven't used red, put the red dots in, Okay, that was the cheap no-name pencils that came in this little roll. Not to be confused with the Faber Castells. I've just realised that you've been looking at this Faber Castell written here, Faber Castell Classics. These are not the Faber Castell Classics, these are the no-name brands. Okay, next we are going to look at the Marco Raffines. And I'll be doing the Marco Raffines in this little section here. Again, to remind you, the Marco Raffines are the Chinese brand that come in this kind of packet. And again, I have chosen 10 colours, the same colours that I had in the cheap brand. And we'll give these ones a go. Start off the same way with the light green. We'll see what the difference is, and already I can feel these are a smoother pencil to use. The colour is a little richer and it's laying down with not as much pressure. Still a fair amount of pressure to get good colour, but not as much as I needed with the cheap ones. Okay, let's go for the dark green. Now I've tried to match these colours up as closely as possible. They're not going to be 100% the same because they are different brands, different dye lots, etc., different pigments, but they're in the same ballpark as each other colour-wise. Right, already I can feel it's a bit easier to blend. I'm getting a nicer, smoother transition. These aren't bad pencils, and certainly can't beat the price for 72 pencils if you're prepared to wait for the postage. I think I didn't have to wait too long for these. I think I waited about 3 weeks. I know some people have waited up to 6 weeks. Yeah, and already I can see that's a lot smoother. Let's try the yellow. And the yellow's nice and rich, which I expect, as I said, with a lot of pencils, even cheaper pencils, the yellows, oranges and reds, at least the brightest of them, the tangerine oranges and the really nice hot reds, tend to be very bright. Colour in these the same because I'm matching the colours exactly to the first section that I did. So, oh look at that orange, wow, what a difference. How bright is that? At the end of all this, I'm going to show you all the colours together so that you can see them side by side on the same paper, how they all performed. Okay, and that was the Micador Raffines. Already I like them a whole lot better than the cheap no-name pencils. They went on fairly smoothly. They're fairly easy to blend, at least within 2 layers. Next we will try the, let's go the Crayolas. So pop that down to where I'm doing Crayolas and I'll grab them out. Once again, here are the same 10 colours that I've chosen out of this range that I'll be using. And again, I'll be colouring it in exactly the same fashion. Starting off with the yellow. First impression, these aren't quite as soft as the Micador Raffines. And I have to press a little bit harder to get that colour. I think this particular pigment is slightly paler too, but it's coming off nice, it's fairly smooth. And I can see why people who just use the budget pencils like them. Let's try the orange. Let's see how we're going with a bit of colour merging and blending there. The colour isn't quite as deep as the Micador Raffines. I can feel that there is less pigment in these pencils, but you can still, with a bit of work, get a nice smoothish blend. You can see I'm pressing fairly hard to start off with, and I just lighten it down to where I want to blend it down into the yellow. I'm doing the opposite here, I'm doing orange to yellow instead of yellow to orange, just to see how it goes. Okay, let's try the greens now. Actually get quite a nice smooth blend. Again, laydown's quite nice. It is a children's pencil, so there's not as much pigment as in an artist pencil, but it's not bad. The Crayolas. Now, let's have a look. I think I might do Faber Castells next. So we'll pop it up to them and I'll grab my Faber Castells out. Okay, here are my 10 Faber-Castell Classic pencils. Again, not to be mixed up with the Polychromos pencils. We'll give these ones a go. The Faber-Castell pencils, of course, just to show you, look like this. They have classic colour written on them. They don't have the name of the pencil colour on it, but they do have the number there. The Polychromos have a round barrel, where this one has a hexagonal. Let's see if I can show you. Hexagonal barrel. Start off with the yellow, and in here where we're doing the classics. Again, first impressions, fairly good colour, smooth lay down. I'm not having to press too hard to get a good decent amount of colour out of the pencil. I'll pop the orange on top. This orange isn't quite as reddish as the in the other brands. I couldn't find one in my 48 pack that quite matched the tangerine colour that I found in other packs, but it'll do the job. I'm finding blending isn't quite as easy as it was with the Crayolas. Feel quite as smooth as I had with the Crayolas or the Raffines with the blending. I'm using a moderate amount of pressure, moderate to large amount of pressure to get the colour to be nice and dark and thick. Said before, I find with many colours, many pencil sets, it's the greens and the purples that tend to be the hardest pencils and the ones that you have to really press to coax enough colour out from. These aren't bad. That's actually not bad. I think I was just pressing a little bit too hard with the yellow to start off with. This isn't bad at all. Okay, let's try this light blue. Now that was the Faber-Castell Classics. Nice deep pigments. I actually like them. They have better pigmentation than both the Raffine and the Crayolas. I had a little bit of an issue when I started to shade, but I think that is because I pressed too much with the yellow to start off with, and I made it a bit difficult for the orange to blend in. But since then I've altered my style a little bit, and it's worked quite well. I think so far the Faber-Castell Classics are probably my favourite out of the first four. Next we're going to do the Micador ColouRush. Just to remind you, a Micador comes in a pack like this. It is an Australian brand, so I don't know how you would go trying to order it overseas. I know you can order them, but the shipping might be a bit pricey. In Australia, these are $12 for a pack of 36. And we'll see how they go. Now I've chosen, again, my 10 colours, all the same as the other ones out of the pack of 36. Let's see how they perform. Again, we'll start with the yellow. And I can tell you straight away that they're behaving very well in this paper. They're nice and creamy with a nice depth of colour to them. I'll grab the orange out. This is a nice deep tangerine orange. And that's blending quite nicely too. That's the oranges and yellows. Let's try the green. Problems with the blending here with the Micador ColouRush. I didn't actually expect to. I found that these are quite nice to blend. I don't know how it would go with these budget price pencils trying to do multiple layers. Like with my Derwent Artist pencils, I can put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers stacked on top of one another. I think this might be a little bit more limited because these pencils have a lot more binder in them than they do pigment, but for a couple of layers, 2 or 3 layers, I think you could do quite well. And if you're just colour merging like this, you only really need 2 or 3 layers to merge the colours together to get the nice transitions. Okay, that was the Micador ColouRush. Quite like it. It's got some very bright colours. The blue is definitely the brightest so far of all of them, and the pink as well. Green is a little bit lighter than, say, the Faber Castell, but overall, again, it's a good pencil to use. I like this for a budget pencil. It's probably, out of all of them, it's given me the result that I like the best. Now, we'll start off with the Derwent Artist pencils. Okay, and I'll go get my colours out. Here are the colours of the Derwent Artist pencils I've chosen. Again, the same colours I've been using in the other sets. Just a reminder, these are the old style Derwent Artist pencils, where the colour of the pencil runs along the barrel all the way to the end. The newer ones come with the dark green barrel and just the colour on the tips. But these work exactly the same and have exactly the same pigment as the newer ones. So once again, let's start with the yellow. Keep in mind we're now working with artist quality pencils and not budget pencils. And even though Derwent Artist pencils has the reputation of being the hardest of all the artist pencils, that is, the core is the hardest, it's still full of pigment and it is still softer than any of the budget pencils that I've used so far. I don't have to press nearly as much to get nice, deep, rich colour out of them. And that's laying down nicely. I feel like I've got a lot of control over the depth of the colour, something I didn't really experience so much with the other pencils. I can be quite precise with the way that the colours slowly fade. Now let's try merging with the orange. And there you go. Merges beautifully. Just whispers in. Now these pencils aren't quite as deep in colour as some of the other artist pencils that I'll be showing you, but I can press a bit more and get a lot more colour out of it. See? And I've got a nice easy transition from the yellow to the orange. Let's try the greens. One thing about the Derwent Artist series is they make really good greens, and by that I mean there's a lovely range of greens, but then I believe they are designed more for naturalist artists, people who do a lot of botanical work and people who do a lot of animals. So the greens and browns in this range is quite well developed. Okay, that's the Derwent Artist pencils in this section. I've just realised I've missed a little piece of my Micador ColouRush, so I'll have to go back and get that completed. The first thing that I noticed when I started using these in comparison to the budget price pencils is it is a lot easier to merge and blend one colour into the next. It sort of just happens naturally. You don't have to force it like I found myself doing with some of the other budget price pencils. Okay, now we'll move on to my personal favourites, the Polychromos pencils. So we'll just reposition this, ready for the Polychromos, and I'll get my Polychromos pencils out. Right, here are the Faber Castell Polychromos pencils that I'm going to be using. Not to be confused with the Faber Castell Classics, which I used before. These are the artist quality Faber Castell pencils. And we'll see how they compare. Again, we'll start with the yellow. And beautiful. I know it's not easy to appreciate watching this, but the feeling of using these pencils is just so much better. They're smooth. You can put down a lot of colour with very little effort. I'm not pressing very hard at all, and I've got this lovely deep colour. Now we'll try blending in the orange. Again, hardly any pressure at all. And I'm getting lots of rich colour. This pencil is certainly a lot nicer to use for somebody who has arthritis. Blending and merging colours is really easy. It just happens naturally. And I can lay 2 or 3 layers very lightly on top of one another without any issues at all. Completely different from the budget pencils. Again, we'll see how the greens go. Now, I do find that Polychromos greens are a little bit harder than some of the other brands. I'm not quite sure why. They're the only pencil colour that I'd actually fault in Polychromos, simply because it's a bit harder to get some good colour out of these. You have to press down a little bit more. And it's really only in these bright greens that I have a problem. But it's a real minor picky thing, and I'm being really picky. I actually don't mind them at all. Using a different colour of the Polychromos to knock back the brightness in that green. It's just a bit too bright. And I didn't have a green that completely matched the other greens that I've been using. As you can see, I had absolutely no problem laying down another green over the top of the other one. And there you have my favourite pencils, the Polychromos made by Faber Castell. Very easy to layer, they go down very smoothly with very little pressure. Next, I'll be showing you one of the favourites of the USA, and that is the Prismacolors. And there's our last little slot waiting for them. And finally, here are the 10 Prismacolor pencils that I've chosen for this demonstration. Again, going as close as I possibly can to the colours I've already used. You'll notice that I haven't sharpened them quite as sharp as I would with the Polychromos pencils, and that's because the cores of the Prismacolors are very fragile and it's very easy to break. And I've had a lot of frustration trying to get a nice sharp point only to have the tip of the pencil break off. So I leave them just about at this length. Some people have better luck sharpening them. So far I haven't been able to find a sharpener that I can absolutely be completely satisfied will sharpen these to a nice fine tip and not break it off. The other thing with these pencils is that they're very soft and the tip soon wears down. We'll try with the yellow. And you can't fault the lay down of these colours. It's hardly any pressure at all, and I'm getting really nice deep colour. That's the one thing above all else I think that Prismacolors have got going for them. They are super soft and it's really easy to get a nice lay down of smooth colour. Okay, now we'll try blending in a little bit of orange on top. And the colour is so soft that you've got to be very gentle putting the next colour layer over the top to maintain a nice, smooth, even blend. So I'm only really just lightly blushing in the pencil here. These greens are a lot softer and lay down a bit better than the Polychromos green of the same colour. Now it may be a bad batch that I have of the Polychromos, it's certainly not the same as the rest of the Polychromos pencils, but with the Prismacolors, these greens, I don't have the same problem with them being a bit on the hard side. And that is the Prismacolor section complete. Now we're going to pull back and have a look at how all of the different coloured pencils performed. Okay, right, now with the exception of the cheap no-name pencils down here, which performed terribly, and seriously I would even consider not giving these to children in case I put them off colouring, all the rest of the pencils, the budget style pencils, performed quite well. Let's see now, if I was to pick a favourite, I would probably have to go with my Micador ColouRush, which I've always pushed. I find the colours are just a little bit brighter, the laydown's just fractionally easier, but really it's all much of muchness between Micador ColouRush, the Raffine, the Faber Castell and the Crayola. In terms of smoothness, I think the Crayola did very, very well, with the Faber Castell coming in a close second. The Raffine, lovely bright pencils, probably couldn't get quite as smooth a result as I did with the Faber Castell and the Crayola, which were really pretty much neck and neck for me. Out of the artist quality pencils, all three of them performed well above what you can see the budget style pencils did. In terms of the ease of using them, they're all much softer, with the Derwent Artist being the hardest of them, being just a little bit harder than the Micador ColouRush, and then the Polychromos being a medium and the Prismacolor being very, very soft. They all went very well. I think budget style, if you had to stick with the lower priced pencils, you can get great results with any of the big names that I've demonstrated here. And with the artist quality pencils, I would still recommend Polychromos. They're still my favourite, but really you can do just as well with Prismacolor if you want and you're willing to deal with the core breakage issues. The Derwent Artist are a bit harder. I think they're better for laying down multiple layers, and the colour series is just a little bit duller than the Polychromos or the Prisma, which makes them better for more realistic style art, but they still perform very well in colouring books. And out of these, well, pick your favourite, whatever actually appealed to you when I was using them, and go and try them for yourself. I recommend that if you can, if you've got a number of different types of pencils, that you do something similar to this, just so that you can compare on the same page at the same time how each of your pencils perform. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this particular instalment of my colouring book series, and I wish you all the best for your future colouring ventures. Until I'm back again next time, happy colouring!